Thank you very much. Thank you, Vanati, for putting up this very nice and practical subject. And it's a very new format also. It's very nice, and that we are going to answer only the specific points here. Yeah. So my first question was, how to recognize and manage the MRSA keratitis. So this is the methicillin-resistant Staph aureus keratitis. And this previously we used to think it's a hospital-oriented infection, nosocomial infection. But recent publications have shown that even clinically associated MRSA infections are gaining more and more importance, and they are becoming more and more common. And it's very difficult to clinically distinguish between these two. And still, the drug of choice is the vancomycin. And this is our data. And usually when we have to suspect the MRSA infection, nowadays MRSA, previously we used to think it's hospital associated. In any healthcare worker who comes with an infection which is fulminant, then we have to think about it. And now it's more and more, it's emerging as the most common infection in refractive surgery, post-refractive surgery infections. This is supposed to be the most common infection. And coming to our data, multi-drug resistant MRSA also can be there. Even among the MRSA, there can be more drug resistance. That used to be 76%, and most of them are 100% resistant to all fluoroquinolone. So initially, when especially fifth generation fluoroquinolone, when they came in, they have been reported to be effective against even MRSA, but it's the thing is not, it's reducing gradually. So even now, vancomycin is the drug of choice in this condition. And another good news is the chloramphenicol is also showing a good sensitivity. Maybe it's not considered as a very fancy drug and not used commonly by the general ophthalmologist. And coming to management strategies in deep fungal keratitis and co-infection in fungal keratitis. Deep fungal keratitis, naturally, we have to look something else other than the topical drops. And here, generally, we'll go for intrastromal or intracameral injections. So logically, intrastromal, especially voriconazole, which is a dose-dependent, which has a dose-dependent action. So in higher concentration, it can become fungiciding. So intrastromal injection should be more effective. But the clinical reports, clinical studies, randomized studies did not show any promising answer for this, and they are not showing any advantage of intrastromal injections. Nevertheless, we try to give this injection in severe infections before going for a surgical intervention. Intracameral injection, again, amphotericin B is studied by AIIMS group, and again they have shown it's not showing much of a advantage. One problem with amphotericin, it can cause significant fibrin reaction. So sometimes we won't even know whether the infection as such is increasing or the inflammatory reaction, toxic reaction. So intracamerally also, voriconazole is more preferable than amphotericin B. Coming to oral antifungal agents, again, there are some studies. We did on ketoconazole because it's more effective, supposed to be effective against fusarium also, and also it's cost effective. Again, later with the MUD study 2, voriconazole also was studied. In both instances, we couldn't find any added advantage. Same way, Dr. Sharma, again, they have studied, and they also didn't get great difference in the healing, but the better tear film concentration is seen with oral voriconazole compared to ketoconazole. And so we have to consider not only the cost and also the systemic side effects of these drugs when we are not sure about their efficacy. And coming to co-infections, the co-infections are not, the incidence-wise, it's not much, but they are gradually increasing. This is our own statistics, which showed the increase is gradual. And commonest co-infection is acanthamoeba keratitis, especially in contact lens associated infections. Fusarium and acanthamoeba often seen, not only from here, even from Europe, the reports are same. And but they are not behaving much differently in clinically. If you when we analyze the need for therapeutic keratoplasty is almost same in both group. We couldn't identify any specific clinical picture with which we have to suspect maybe a ring infiltrate. We have to suspect more. A confocal microscopy may be helpful. And maybe we can, whenever we suspect something, when the response is not good for antifungal, we can add PHMB because it's also having some antifungal activity and see. Coming to the management of Pythium and Nocardia, Pythium is no more a very novel infection. We got used to it very well. And we know that antifungal agents will not be effective here. So we have to go for some antibiotics. In vitro, they have shown good effect. And the clinical reports, they are not very promising. Relatively, they are better than antifungal, but antibiotics also, the reports, the results are not as good in these cases. So it's better to go for an early surgical intervention once this is recognized. And coming to Nocardia, you may be surprised why Nocardia is it's such a maybe I used to think Nocardia is a simple keratitis is a simple infection because easily you can recognize clinically and often it will respond to topical therapy. But one thing about Nocardia, it will behave like fungus. If they are exposed to steroid, then it will be very difficult to manage these cases. And that's why even in SCUT, we analyzed non-nocardia and nocardia infections because non-nocardial infections behave very badly when we used steroids along with them. That we have to keep in mind when treating nocardia. Then coming to role of CXL, logically it should work because it has some antimicrobial activity and also it will make the collagen resistant to progressive melting. So it should be effective. It is supposed to be, there are reports that it is effective against bacterial infections, but coming to fungal and acanthamoebal infections, the clinical reports are not very promising again. Maybe people suggest that we should go for 2.5% riboflavin instead of the routine 1%. That is one thing. And another, the recent report from Boscombe Palmer showing that using rose bengal as the photosensitizer, RBPDT is supposed to show better results than riboflavin PDT, especially in acanthamoeba keratitis and fungal keratitis. Maybe we have to, the clinical study is already started or going to be started. So then we will get a good answer for this also. Thank you.